Hey guys, RPM here. Hope you're doing well. Having a really great day. This video, it's regarding my new to me, 5950X CPU mining rig here that I just set up, and I wanted to just go through in this video the trials and tribulations I had regarding this CPU mining rig here that is mining Varus coin right now. Thank you to the whole community that has helped me set this up during that live stream. Actually, we had a couple of live streams setting up this 5950X to mining Varus coin, and let me tell you, it was pretty rough. I had it in my old PC case, which is one of these Leon Lee cases here, which is honestly still an amazing case. And I did have a NZXT CPU AIO here on the 5950X initially, and I remember as I was playing games with this, editing videos with this, the CPU, it would go up to about 80 degrees Celsius on this AIO. But now, since I've replaced it with one of these Noctua NHD15 CPU coolers I got off Amazon, you guys can see it linked down below. The temperatures are absolutely amazing, and also the power consumption right now for this whole thing is 63 watts right now, and the mega hash I can achieve is around 44 mega hash, and also the temps here 62 degrees Celsius, which is almost like 18 to 20 degrees Celsius better than the AIO that I was using. So Noctua's CPU cooler is way better in terms of temperatures, and I'm utilizing Hellminer, and the reason why I'm using Hellminer is because I had a lot of rejected shares with SRB Miner, but I think that is due to the mining pool that I'm using currently just for testing right now, which is Luckpool. I normally use others, but just for the sake of it, it seems like Luckpool has an issue with SRB Miner, but SRB Miner seems to be maybe okay with Zerg Pool or other Varus mining pools out there. Anyways, I had 3 live streams just setting this up. The first live stream was maybe the whole thing was just taking it out of my computer case. That was a lot of work. The second live stream was starting off on adding the HiveOS M.2 that I already burned onto the PC, and then placing my HP server PSU. This is just a 1200 watt, and then it has the ZSX Amp Edition breakout board with a 24 pin for the motherboard and 8 pin CPU for back here. Okay, so that works just fine. That works all well and good. Now, the fun part began of taking out my monitor, my portable monitor, and then figuring out that I needed to have a GPU, all right, because this motherboard that I have, this X570 Asus Hero, Maximus Hero, it did not have onboard HDMI or DisplayPort or anything. So to circumvent from that, I had to add a GPU. So I had a 6600 XT Hellhound here lying around. I placed it onto the first slot. I did try the second slot, but it wasn't programmed into the BIOS to, I guess, detect this. So it only had to work on this first slot here. Then simply that second live stream, we hooked up the monitor, able to go into the BIOS and then just check around, firmware updates, BIOS updates. I'm not on the latest firmware, and so I didn't go through that. But the next part was to basically run this as a headless miner, essentially, because without the GPU, I wouldn't be able to set any settings in the BIOS. So a couple of things, okay? One big setting was, I know in the BIOS we set in the boot options, boot configuration, was turning off the F1 or just continue if there's any errors when the motherboard props up with any errors. And we did see that on the motherboard itself, like error code 36, which I believe it means no GPU. So with disabling that setting just to continue on with any error messages, then it would boot into HiveOS, no problem. Now, I think in the third live stream, this is another setting a couple of you in the live chat mentioned, was to change the megahertz of the RAM, which we did take out 3 other sticks. I had 4 sticks in total on this board, 64 gigs of RAM, which apparently CPU mining, RAM doesn't really matter that much for Varus coin, so we took out all 3. Only have 1 DIMM in the second slot, as well as in the BIOS, we had to change the frequency down to, I think, 2133 megahertz to save a little bit more juice. So we were running, I think, XMP profile or just stock, whatever the megahertz was frequency, we were at 160, I think 6 or 165 watts. Now we dropped it maybe a good watt or 2 just by changing the memory frequency down to 2133. It's because, again, it doesn't really matter what the frequency is for, you know, CPU mining for the memory. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know, why not save a bit more watts? And of course, when we were in the BIOS, we did change the CPU frequency, megahertz, and also the voltage. We did numerous tests, different numbers, and ultimately for me, myself, I'm using 4300 megahertz at 935 millivolts or 0.935 volts. So thank you to everyone in live chat that helped me out during that. That was quite a lot of fun changing out the BIOS settings and all that kind of stuff. We had a lot of fun seeing the different power consumptions, but I think with this whole setup right here, just this and the power supply, we are running on 240 volt right now. It's 163, 162 watts. Now, we also did another test of, since I have two fans here, the two Noctua fans, someone said to unplug one of them just to see if we would save a little bit more power. So you know what? I'm gonna do that live right here. So we're at 162.3, you know, around here, 163. I'm gonna take it out right now. Here we go, 3, 2, or actually I'm gonna take out just to make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna take off this one right here. So this fan I just unplugged. So it looks like we've gone down maybe a watt, maybe half a watt or so. All right, so that saved a little bit more power, but I guess the question will be, will the temperature go up a little bit more? So we are at 62 degrees Celsius. Let's see now. I mean, it's probably gonna take a while, but we'll see. I'll leave that going for a bit. But anyways, just the middle fan is working now, okay? So we saved a little bit more power. And so, power saving wherever we can, because it's just gonna be idle. It's just gonna sit on my low power rack, as most of you know. I haven't figured out where I'm going to be placing it yet. Maybe at the top shelf here. I do have to get a bunch of, I do have a few already, Chump Change XD, Misfit Mining motherboard stands. So that's going to be something I'll have on my shelf. And as well, I do have on order some Pico PSUs that are 6-pin powered. So I'll be able to have, you know, multiple motherboards utilized on one 1200 watt HP server PSU. Because if we're only taking, you know, 163 watts right now, it looks like the power is going up. Or is around the same, because I bet you, since the CPU is now probably having some resistance and maybe utilizing more power, the temperature is going up 64 degrees now, 64 degrees Celsius. So that translates into, it could be we have a little bit more power consumption here because we have less cooling on the CPU, very similar to what we noticed with ASIC mining, as we had less airflow. Then the ASIC miner obviously used a lot more power to, because we had a lot more heat, essentially, a lot of more resistance in a way. So I'm gonna plug this back in because I feel like it looks like we saved a little bit of power just temporarily. And then now it's, the power consumption has gone back up because the temperatures have gone up. So I'm gonna put the fan back in. It's working now. And I bet we'll see some temperatures start coming back down. Ha! I know some people in the live chat said to take off one of the fans, but now that the temperatures are going up, it's causing the CPU to utilize more power. Okay, so now that's going. Anyways, yeah, guys, yeah, we had a lot of fun setting this up. 5950X CPU. We ultimately did try higher clocks, like I think 4600 and like 1000, you know, 125 millivolts, and we couldn't get any more. And a few times it did work, a few times it didn't work. It was very unstable, but right now I've got it at 4300 and 935 millivolts. But I just wanted to appreciate everyone in the live chat who helped me out, set this thing up, CPU mining rig here. And yeah, I learned a bunch of things as well when it comes to CPU mining, especially that memory frequency thing, you know, the headless, running this motherboard headless, that BIOS configuration option, the boot option, make sure it just goes through the errors. Those are really important because once you take this out, you can't press anything. You can't see anything as it won't go past the error number 36, which I have right now actually, but it's mining successfully. Okay, looks like the power has gone a little bit down. Let's just, final thing here. It's been maybe a minute or so. 64 degrees Celsius. Oh, we're at 62 now. See? 62. And looks like the power has gone down just a bit because the temperature of the CPU 5950X has gone down a bit. So I think that's great. That's really good. I'm gonna keep this fan on for anyone that was curious. We just did the test right here. I love it. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for the next video about my regarding the Raspberry Pi. Oh, this was a whole other monster that I just did earlier today as of recording. So anyways, I just want to talk about my 5950X for this CPU for this video. Let me know if you guys are, CPU mining right now. I know it may not be profitable, but for me, it's low power enough that I'm willing to run this to just mine and hodl Eris coin for future price appreciation. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Okay, I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good one. Peace out.